2, 3, 4.
Good morning by Brothers Band Bisters. Bon Bis. Bar 50th episode of Good Morning By's podcast. Thank you so much for joining us on this fine morning, afternoon, evening, or night as we continue discussing the game of life amidst the other games we love to watch and play. I am one of your hosts, the Brazilian Mountaineer and Transition Ninja, Lucas Ham Swisher. With us in spirit, but out because of sickness, the judge, jury, and executioner of fake news and spoilers, Patrick Novosel. Hello. But actually with me, and finally after too much time apart, the volleyballing beast of the East who can make you laugh in 3 words or less, Ronnie Johantges.
Hello.
And our final member of the GMG quadfecta, the man with music in his heart, Doctor Who on his brain, and La Coretta in his estomago, Marc Boucher.
I just need to let everyone know how much strength it took for me to not laugh during that entire intro.
Woo, I had to practice that one a few times.
He did cover his face.
Yes, for those that weren't watching, Mark definitely covered his face.
Which is everybody except for us three.
That's correct. Folks listening, if this is your first time joining us, welcome to our half a century episode. If it's not your first time, well then, you understand how we are only figuratively half a century old today, and that half of what we say, or at least half of what I say, is complete nonsense.
Only half?
I was being positive.
I'm sure you
Not
were.
to jump ahead. Not to jump ahead. All right, guys, let's jump into what's new news, starting with Ronnie J. Man, I missed you, brother. I am so glad to see your beautiful face.
I missed you too. I feel like it's been 3 years since I've seen you.
Been a long day.
Your hair is longer. Your beard is longer.
That's right. Growing it out.
What year is it?
It's like an episode of Jumanji. Okay, so I've been out for 2 weeks. So it's been quite a ride.
Can't wait to hear about it.
The reason I was out last week is I was just coming home last Monday from my first ever cruise.
Nice.
Look at you, cruise man.
I know.
Cruising.
It was a combination of a lot of firsts for me. So I will be 32 years old this year, and I have never flown before.
Really?
Until that trip. Yeah.
Nice.
Wow.
First time ever being on a plane.
By boat and by air.
By boat and by air, man. I did it all. If I could have just added a train in there.
You should have. You would have been John Candy or Steve Martin.
I miss John Candy. But anyways, so the cruise, we flew into Fort Lauderdale on Thursday, and we stayed in Fort Lauderdale for the night. Just kind of hung out there. Went and got some. Actually, we got some Mexican food, which was terrible. Actually, I don't remember the name of the restaurant, so I can't call it out.
Oh no!
It's probably better that you don't remember it.
Yeah.
I think it's the distant cousin of La Coretta.
The one that he never
the
invites to family reunions.
I don't remember it, but I'm pretty sure the hotel toilet does.
Montezuma's Revenge.
Yes.
That toilet seat was warm.
Yes, it was. It was warm.
Man, that's
it was warm
gross.
enough for the next guest, probably.
2 days later.
So on Thursday, we stayed in Fort Lauderdale. Just kind of hung out there. Nothing, walked around to a few different little places around the hotel, but nothing special. And on Friday, we got up and shuttled to Miami, where our cruise left. So the cruise left, I think, around noon on Friday. And again, first time I've ever been on a cruise or anything like that. It was just a ton of, I guess, first experiences, like just the whole world of like a cruise ship. Have you guys been on a cruise before?
Negative.
I have not, but I've heard really good things. It's like a casino mixed with a resort mixed with an amusement park.
Yeah, I mean,
lots of stuff.
It literally is. They're giant ships, obviously, and you get on and you have a tiny little room, but obviously you never spend any time in the room. The pool deck, which is where we spent. I mean, we were there every day, but the pool deck had 2 big pools and 4 hot tubs, and probably 500 chairs, just a
Right.
ridiculous amount of like seating. But we went up there. So I will start by saying that we did have the drink package.
Mm-hmm.
So the alcoholic beverages were flowing.
Oh, I thought you meant that you got one of those freestyle Coke machines in your room or something.
With the swirly straws?
Endless swirly straws and Coke products.
Probably could have got endless swirly straws if I wanted to. I just would have had to order the right drink. But no, so everything, once you get on the cruise ship, everything is free. Basically, it's included in your cruise, and so drinks, food. The only thing we paid extra for was one night of fine dining.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we went on Saturday night, and we went to this really fancy restaurant on the cruise ship, and it was nice. It was really probably too fancy for me, in all honesty. Like I had to put on a nice shirt and everything for it. So,
be honest. Did you weigh yourself before and after? Because I can only imagine, stuff being free, how much food and drink was consumed.
I did not, but I'll
Probably
get
better.
to why that probably my weight evened out in the end.
Oh, okay.
Soon.
Sorry to push you ahead. Keep going.
So Saturday, the cruise left Friday night or Friday evening. No, scratch that. I think Friday at noon. And it went into Key West. So in the morning, on Saturday morning, we got to walk around Key West for, I think, like 4 or 5 hours or something like that. And I've never been, obviously, to Key West. It was actually really cool. It wasn't, when I thought of Key West, since I'd never been there before, I was thinking like beach, But it was more like a bunch of little shops and stores and stuff that you can walk around. It's basically endless bars and shops. That's pretty much what it was. But the cool thing we did on Saturday was in Key West, we went to the Hemingway house. So the house of Ernest Hemingway.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think it was like 4 blocks away from where we got off the ship. And we walked over to it and we took the tour. It was like 30 to 45 minute tour through the house. It's actually one of the largest properties on Key West. So it's almost like an acre.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess in Key West, everything is just packed. Everything's packed in. And this house is almost on an acre. So a couple of fun facts from that is the first one is there are 56 cats on the property.
I had no
all
idea
of which,
that Hemingway was a cat man.
All of which stem from Hemingway's cat. So Hemingway had a cat named Snowball.
And it snowballed.
And apparently it did snowball out of control. They are all descendants of that cat in some way, shape, or form.
That is crazy.
And one of the things I learned that I did not know, you ever see those cats that have like the 6 toes? They have like their dew claws. They look like they have thumbs.
For sure. I had a friend who had a cat with thumbs.
Yeah, I've seen them like here and there. So from what the tour guide told us is a lot of ships used to have a cat or 2 cats on the actual ship to take care of like mice and stuff in the cargo areas.
Yep.
Well, they used to breed cats specifically to have those dew claws or 6 toes because they were better at catching mice. I guess you figure they have an extra claw. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, they can open up doors to get to the rats.
Exactly. So they can use the bathroom and all that stuff.
Yeah.
They flush the toilets and stuff.
Yeah.
It's important.
It is important. I mean, you're all on a ship together,
You distract the rats. You make like a little sound with a toilet on one side, and then you're waiting on the opposite side to get them.
Exactly right. So all the cats are like, I probably only seen about 10 cats, like throughout the whole tour. As we're walking through the house, all the doors and stuff are open. And the funny thing is like some of the cats, like there was one laying on the bed, like in the master bedroom. And obviously the bed itself is like roped off. And everybody stands around it while he's giving the tour. We stopped in that room and he talked for maybe 10 minutes. The cat laid in the middle of the bed, never even moved the whole time. It could have been a prop cat for all I know. But the cats there just didn't mind. I mean, obviously people are walking through there every single day. So they didn't even like lift their head when we walked by. But it was cool. It was really neat. There was one cat there with 7 toes.
What?
Wow.
Yeah,
Show
he must
off.
have been king. He must have been the king.
He was probably.
But I learned a lot about Ernest Hemingway that I did not know. It was a really, really cool tour. One of the cool things on the property was they had a pool on the property, and the story from the tour guide was, while Hemingway was, I think he was in Cuba at the time, his wife decided to have a pool put in. Well, the pool at the time cost $20,000, which was more than the property, was more than the house at the time. It's a gigantic pool. I mean, you could put like 4 lanes in it and race. I mean, it was a big, like, rectangular pool. But other than that, the house was really cool. That was kind of the highlight of Key West. I'm not really big on, like, hitting up shops and stuff. I know a couple people from our group went around and, bought a few little things and stuff, but that's not really my thing. I actually like the historical tour a lot better than that.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So Saturday night, I got back on the cruise, and at 5, I entered a Texas Hold'em tournament.
Ooh.
What?
Yeah, it was a $100 buy-in. And me and my stepdad both entered. There was only like 10 people that actually entered the tournament, so it was one really big table of people.
Really? Just 10?
Yeah, just 10. Well, I was surprised actually too.
Huh. I thought there would have been more.
So the whole time we were playing, I had basically just a stream of drinks coming into me, obviously at no cost. So it was a $100 buy-in, and I played like I got in for free. Very easy and loose with all.
Oh, yeah. Just like,
Turns out that works well, because it ended up coming down to me and another guy.
Are you serious? You got the top 2?
I did.
Nice. You're
So
not
we
just the
knocked out-
volleyball beast of the East. You're the Texas Hold'em tank from the top.
I'm undefeated in Texas Hold'em tournaments now.
Look out.
The funny thing is, so it was a $100 buy-in, and at the break, if you made it to the break, which was about an hour and a half in, they gave you like a 15-minute break to get up and move around and stuff.
Right.
You had the opportunity to buy another $100 worth of chips, but they doubled the amount of chips you got. So it's like a one-time offer type thing. Well,
tell me that during this, sorry to interrupt, but tell me during this you did get inspiration from Maverick, the movie. Did you ever watch that movie?
Nope. Is that the
With
one with Mel Gibson?
Mel Gibson.
I know of it. I just never have seen it.
Oh, man. All right. I thought maybe you had seen it. I thought you'd brought it up one time before. My bad. Anyways.
Nope, not that one.
Good movie to get inspiration from.
My
but it
gamer
sounds
tag-
like you didn't need it. Sounds like
My
you didn't need
gamer
it.
tag
though.
when I was younger was Maverick. My Xbox
That's
Live
right.
gamer tag was.
Yes, I remember you saying that back in the day.
So everybody at the table, there was 4 of us left at the break, and everybody at the table put in another $100 and like basically doubled their stacks of chips. Except for me, I was like, I'm gonna let it ride.
I'm good.
And I didn't. I actually had probably a chip lead at that time, and then they all passed me up with that. Well, the very next hand after the break, I went all in and took one guy completely out. He put in $100, and I beat him on the first hand back.
Oh, ouch. Man, that's rough for him.
Yeah, it was rough for him. Of course, to myself, like I was I was at the beginning stages of drunk, I should say. So internally, I was laughing because I was the only one that didn't spend more money to get more chips. But anyways, it got down to me and another guy. The third guy got knocked out, and the other guy turns to me and he's like, "Hey, do you just want to chop this?" And I was like, "Yeah, I definitely do." So me and him split $9.75.
Wow.
What?
Yeah.
What?
It was pretty awesome. Now, I did not make it off the cruise ship with any of that money, but I did have more fun because I had that money.
Oh, I'm sure you did.
Because, of course, we
Now,
turned
wait,
around and went
when
back
you-
to the casino.
When you chop the winnings, does that mean you don't finish it out to see who was
Yes.
the winner?
Yeah,
Oh,
me and
that's
him did
kinda-
not play each other head-to-head.
That's kind of disappointing, but that's
But-
cool that you got almost $1,000, but still.
Second place got nothing.
Yeah, no, I understand your guys' is like what
And
you
actually,
did
I would have
made
had a little
sense.
bit of like he would have had a little bit of a chip lead on me also.
Yeah.
So when he said, "Do you want to chop it?" I was all about that. So I ended up spending, I think, like 3 hours in playing that. Well, since I had drinks the whole time over the course of this 3 hours, I got up from the table, went and found some food, and then I went back to the hotel room at about 8:30 p.m. and went to sleep for the rest of the night.
Yeah.
All right.
That seems right.
They had like a big like party on board. It's called like a whiteout party where everybody wears like their white shirts and stuff, you know. And I missed out on the whole thing. I missed it. I mean, I slept on a pile of money, but I did miss out on the whiteout party.
You Scrooge McDucked it.
I did.
Hope it was worth it.
Yeah, I had a great time.
Good.
I will say every day we were on the cruise ship, me and my 2 other buddies, at some point during the day, we went back and took like a 2-hour nap. Because it turns out once you get into your 30s, you cannot hang like you did when you were younger.
That is correct.
You need those naps to power up. Rally.
Naps are awesome. They're excellent.
Rally naps.
But anyways, so on Sunday, we went to the Bahamas. So they have their own like island in the Bahamas, Norwegian, and a little resort-like type area. And we sat on the beach all day. It was awesome. It was really great. And I've never been, obviously, to the Bahamas, like the water, like clearer than any water that I've ever really been in, like completely. And it was awesome weather the whole time we were there. And then lastly, my buddy on Sunday night sang karaoke. He did a bunch of karaoke while we all cheered like he was really good, even though he was bad. His song of choice is Frank Sinatra, "Summer Wind."
Nice.
That's his favorite.
All right.
Summer wind came crashing in.
He did actually. He was very good on that song.
Yeah.
But all the other ones he sung, not as good.
Well,
Fair
that's
enough.
the thing with Frank Sinatra tunes. If you scoop all the notes in the song, you're pretty much acting like Frank Sinatra, so you can't really miss.
Yeah, I mean, he had a real classy sound too. I mean, he was like, it's his go-to karaoke song. So that's what he does. But that was it. I mean, we got back on Monday, and it was really fun. It was. I will definitely do another cruise. I will say that. I think
Cool.
if you are looking to go on a vacation, like a cruise, man, it's just you pay for everything, but man, it's like everything else on the cruise is taken care of for you. You don't have to worry about a single thing. It was really cool. The one bad thing was that our cell phones did not work on the cruise the whole time.
Yeah,
That is correct.
When we got to port, like at Key West and at the Bahamas, they obviously worked, but I found, I knew I was going to get a big charge on my cell phone bill, and it turns out that charge was $160 extra. But I think if we were to have purchased like the Wi-Fi for the entirety of the cruise, it would have been like $251. And I was like, nah.
For the Wi-Fi?
Yeah, just to have it for 4
Dang.
days.
Yeah, I go dark on that those days. That's not a big deal.
So I barely had my phone on me the entire time, obviously. But no, cruise was great. I will definitely do it again. It was a great experience. Even flying, I had never flown, and flying was nothing. I mean, it was the easiest way of travel possible.
Yeah,
Just
it
get on
really
the
is.
plane, you're there. You get to pick your movies. Like I flew Delta, so you get the little seats with the screens on them.
Did you watch any movies?
I watched the first. So I listened to the actually the last half of the third Harry Potter book while I was on the first one.
nice.
Oh, okay.
And I finished that. And then I watched like 60 minutes of Endgame. And then the ride back, I watched Guardians of the Galaxy.
Nice.
Again. Yeah.
So, of the 3 Harry Potter books that you've listened to so far, which is your favorite? Sorcerer's Stone, Chamber of Secrets, or Prisoner of Azkaban?
I definitely think it was The Prisoner of Azkaban. I've heard that they get better, and so far that's what I've experienced as well. There was a lot of things that happened in The Prisoner of Azkaban that I thought were really cool. You find out more about Harry's parents than you do really throughout anything, like through Sirius Black and all that. So I won't spoil it if nobody's like listened to that one, I guess. But I really enjoyed that. I will definitely listen to the other 4. So, but
Cool, man.
Other than the cruise, other than the Harry Potter, I did watch another movie. I started the voyage of the Marvel movie universe.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I thought you were going like totally out of right field and you watched Voyage of the Dawn Treader, as in Chronicles of Narnia. And I was like, what?
Why?
I did not.
What?
I watched the first Captain America.
Okay.
So my initial thoughts of that, I actually really liked it. I've always liked Captain America, even though I haven't ever seen the movies. Like the character, from what I found, I like that. It was a cool origin story on how everything happened. It was really neat how they did that. One thing that was hard for me to get over during that movie was Steve Rogers being tiny for like the first half of it.
Oh,
it was
yeah.
so bizarre.
Real skinny he was.
It's so weird.
It was so bizarre. It was like his head was too big for his body. Like it was just a...
That is correct. They tried their best to
They
like
did.
make him CG his head smaller, but it was clear that his head was not proportionate to his body.
Ronnie,
Yeah,
I promise they got better with CG in Marvel movies as time went on.
That is correct.
Yeah, it was a really good movie though. The one thing I thought was kind of weird, and I can't remember the villain's name in that movie.
Red Skull.
Was it Skull?
Red Skull.
Red Skull.
The Red Skull. So that was a very bizarre villain. Like just the look of him when he first takes his face off, like was ridiculous. It was a little bit like, I guess, bizarre of a villain. Like I was just having a hard time adjusting to him. Like just the way he looks is ridiculous.
So
yeah, it really is ridiculous.
So think about this, Ronnie. The first time you see Red Skull is in Captain America, the first Avenger. Yeah. You saw the whole thing of Avengers Endgame, correct?
Yes.
That whole scene with Vormir, well, it was actually Infinity War. When they were on Vormir, and they had to get the soul, or Thanos had to get the Soul Stone.
Yes.
Think about the.
You know what? I never made that connection, but now I recognize this.
That's how long it took them to readdress Red Skull.
Yeah.
That is correct.
Well, he kind of just got like I mean I guess I don't know the story behind that, but I mean he kind of just got like almost like vaporized by, what's it called, that
the Tesseract?
The Tesseract,
space,
yeah.
The Space Stone, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, he just got kind of just eviscerated by that at the end of the movie.
Well, basically he kind of got teleported. So
Gotcha.
But yeah. The fact that they don't even touch on the Red Skull until Infinity War.
Right.
He didn't seem like a great, very in-depth, I guess, character. Yeah. You know,
I thought he was pretty one-dimensional. Like
yeah.
He's just like, I'm angry and I have a red face and
I'm trying to take over the world.
Rule. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, and I don't know if you guys have the same issue in movies, but I do it all the time where I see a certain actor in a certain role. And I can never unsee that role.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as soon as I see him,
Agent
movie,
Smith,
I'm thinking, Mr. Anderson.
Yeah.
Like I can never get rid of that from the Matrix.
He's like Captain America.
See, I think of
how are you?
I think of that and Isildur, throw the ring into the fire.
Elrond.
That's true. That's totally true. Yeah, it's hard for me to unsee him as Mr. Smith in any movie. Like, that one stands out to me, so it's always weird when that happens.
Yeah, but, I remember feeling that way when he was Elrond in Lord of the Rings. I was like, he's really a bad guy. Don't trust him, Frodo. Don't trust him.
It's hard to look at him as a good guy, yeah.
It really is.
Don't try asking for a phone call. He won't give it to you.
That's right.
But yeah, so for the most part, that was my 2 weeks. We've been in the process. I think I mentioned a couple weeks ago that Elizabeth is moving in with me. So we are in the process of combining all of our stuff. I now have, I think, 4 decorations up in my house.
Look out.
Which is 3 more than I did have. Mark, you saw the clock. It's got some company now.
Interesting.
So it's definitely a process. All my stuff is not like the way my house was set up is basically the way that a bachelor would just initially set everything up and just leave it for no reason other than that's where you first put things. So like I'm in the process of kind of moving stuff around to accommodate. So it's definitely a task, but it's really cool. It's kind of a fun experience, like combining everything. So it's been really good. But that does it for me, guys.
Real quick, just one clarification of something. For the past 44 weeks, you still have not completely watched the full 3 hours and 8 minutes of Christopher Reeve's Superman movie, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. And Mark, is that movie seriously 3 hours and 8 minutes?
No, it is not actually 3 hours and 8 minutes.
Why did Google lie to me? Because I totally did not remember it being 3 hours and 8 minutes, but I couldn't find the actual runtime. What is it?
That seemed like it was 6 hours.
I would have to double check that, but it is definitely not 3 hours and 8 minutes.
All right. Well, Google's wrong. For the first time ever, Google lied to me.
3 hours and 2 minutes.
Yeah.
No, so and also for the record, I am not watching the rest of it. I have completely bailed on that. I'm ready to take whatever punishment comes along.
Your punishment is I'm going to keep mentioning it every single episode until the end of time.
I mean, you guys know me, though. That's not going to bother me.
Well, we'll see. It's still
I mean,
early.
it took 47 tries?
I think it's 44 weeks. Maybe it's 45. I don't remember if I updated
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, we're going to go with 44 and a half.
That was early on, back when we were young.
It is 2 hours and 23 minutes.
What?
Yeah.
2 hours and 23 minutes. And how much did you watch, Ronnie? You seriously just can't finish the last 30 minutes.
I watched an hour and a half.
Oh, okay. The last
hour.
40 minutes.
Have you seen
45. Yeah, I mean, I haven't watched it recently.
Rough, man.
No, and you know what? I haven't got to talk to you face to face since you brought it up in the Superman episode. But after you described all the stuff that I totally forgot as a child, I was like, I don't think I can go back and watch that.
You don't want to.
That sounds awful. Yeah,
It's a combination of the thing. It was made a really long time ago, and it's also a superhero I have zero interest in.
Yeah, sorry, Patrick. We love you still.
I do still love Patrick, even though we apparently don't have the same taste in any single thing ever.
You have an interest in
I think you both like
Reds.
Fireball.
Does he like Fireball? He tried it, but I feel like that's because I was there.
Oh, probably. You're right.
He likes the
we
Cincinnati
do like
Reds.
the Reds.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys like sports teams. They're the same.
That's true. That's true.
And you guys both like the Bengals too, right?
Yeah.
Well, there
we
you go.
both equally like to drive Lucas crazy when he comes up with a plan also.
There it is.
Mm-hmm. There it is. And you both live in Cincinnati.
Ooh, so many things.
No one else both lives in Cincinnati.
He is, however, an adult, and I'm not.
Noted.
I mean, it depends. You were more of an adult when we played Exploding Kittens than he was.
Also noted.
I was a little bit more, I don't want to say experienced in the pregame activities, but I was able to handle it a little bit better, maybe. The old Fireball got the best of him.
You might be right. So, Mark, tell us something
Lucas,
good.
I will tell you something. I don't know if it's going to be good, but I'm going to tell you something.
Tell us something great or
Take it.
mediocre.
So last week was weird. Last week was really weird.
Tell us why.
So Tuesday morning, I'm on my way to work, and I am sitting at a red light, and I was doing a bit of a no-no. Confession time.
Here we go. Lay it out.
Unfortunately,
Mark, you're not starting this right. You need to say, "Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned."
Oh, I've already been through that.
You've already done that one. All right, fair enough. Continue.
No, but so sitting at a red light, and I looked down at my phone for a little bit, and I thought we were moving. I thought we were starting to go. We were not starting to go. We were very much not going.
Only you were going?
Only
Yeah,
you
I
were
was
going. Oh, jeez.
And unfortunately, I slammed into the back of a trailer for a landscaping company.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Ouch for you. They probably barely felt it.
Yeah, I think the worst they got was the tailgate actually bowed a little bit, and the latches on the sides weren't exactly locking the way they should. And apparently there was a little bit of damage to their truck, but not much. So obviously we pulled over and got out, called the police, and did that whole thing, exchanged insurance and all that fun stuff. I couldn't lie. I've heard people say, "Why did you say that?" Well, I had to tell the whole story of why it happened. And so, unfortunately, I got a ticket for following too close, which, I mean, it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah. Because they could give you a ticket for using your phone while driving, right?
I think so.
Yeah, and I think those are higher, actually, in fines.
And I think following too close is better than like a reckless operation or something like that, too.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, in any case, got a ticket for that. At first, when I called our insurance company, they said, "Well, so you've got collision on your vehicle. It's a $500 deductible. And then anything else over that, the insurance company pays for to fix your vehicle since you were at fault. I was like, okay, that sucks, but oh well. I gotta accept responsibility and pay for it. So thankfully my insurance covers a rental vehicle, and we were right next to the rental car company. So I went over there, got a rental car. At that time, by the time I got the rental car, my back was starting to hurt. I was starting to feel sore. I was like, okay, I need to take it easy today. So at that point, I just went home and took the day off and just rested. Didn't want to overexert myself. And then I get a phone call from the claims person for the insurance company. And he says, so I just went over and assessed your vehicle. It is a total loss. It was about $5,000 in damage.
Golly.
Yeah.
What was that truck made of in front of you, that landscaping vehicle?
It was a steel trailer. So, and I wasn't going that fast, but apparently I was going fast enough. I know for a fact I tore a hole through the radiator.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah. And apparently a bunch of other stuff, because it was about $5,000 worth in damages, which was apparently more than my car was worth.
Oh, jeez.
So they listed it as a total loss. Thankfully, I had gap coverage, what's called gap coverage, which basically means the insurance company pays for the assessed value of the vehicle. The gap coverage pays for any remainder of, whatever we owed on it. So basically it pays it off. The vehicle is paid off. Obviously my old vehicle is gone. They're salvaging it for parts. It's kind of a bummer. Not how I imagined that day going.
Right.
Then the next day, actually the same day, I immediately started looking for another car. And of course I work at a car dealership, so that kind of helps. So I was looking on our website and seeing what we could afford, looking at different vehicles, and there was one in particular I saw there, and I got in touch with my buddies in the sales department and started getting things going. And
tell me it's a Tesla.
I wish it was a Tesla. There's no way we could afford that. And so next day, got to test drive it, did my homework on it, and all that kind of stuff. And I now have a 2012 Hyundai Elantra.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice, man.
So, it was pretty weird.
Did you end up getting it through your lot?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah, I got it from my dealership, from the place where I work.
So you might have tipped the scales enough to the next time they're giving out bonuses again, and you get that breakfast and lunch special again. It'll be thanks to you.
That would be wonderful.
You contributed to that.
Yeah. Let's see if we can break another record for August.
Yes.
But yeah. So literally next day, I had another vehicle.
Did your back stop hurting, or did it take a couple days?
It did eventually. It took 2 or 3 days for it to go away, but thankfully it was just soreness. There was no stiffness in my neck or anything like that. So I didn't end up going to the doctor or anything, just because it was just basically minor whiplash that just goes away with time. It's all you can really do about it.
Yeah, I've actually been in. I got rear-ended one time, and it's amazing how, because I remember my car. I think I got rear-ended at 35 or 40 miles an hour. At the time, I was driving a Jeep, and I was still drivable, so I drove it home. But I remember on the drive home, an hour after the wreck happened, I was like, man, my neck is killing me. Everything started to hurt, but it was very delayed. It was kind of weird how that all happened.
Yeah, it's weird. Your body, when you hit something, it's like your body. It's it's literally a shock to your system.
Yeah.
And a lot of times those symptoms don't show up for another day or two. A lot of times. So thankfully that soreness in my back was the worst that it got. It eventually went away, and I'm okay.
Good.
So, and the driver was also okay, of the other vehicle was okay as well. And they were super nice about it, in spite of what happened. The owner of the landscaping company came out and was like, yeah, everybody makes mistakes, stuff happens. Obviously I needed to take responsibility, and we exchanged information, and likely my insurance rate will go up, and got to pay this ticket. But it could have been way worse. So, thankful for that at least. But kids and adults, it can wait. Put the phone down. I have learned that the hard way. Don't touch the phone while you're driving.
Yeah, and kids, if you're driving, give your keys back to your parents, okay?
Well, 16-year-olds are kids.
That's true. You're right. It just sounded funny, like kids. Our 9-year-old listeners could be listening, and they're like, I'm going to drive my dad's car.
Kids who don't have a driver's license, don't drive. Because you're not legally allowed to do that.
Correct.
But yes, for those who are of age and have a phone, just put it down. Put it somewhere where you can't reach it. Unless you need to take an urgent phone call or something like that. But typically, it can wait. You don't need to be texting. You don't need to be looking at the internet or anything like that. It can wait. And I have learned that the hard way. and my wife immediately, Kristen came out, and she's like, "Give me your phone." She took the phone from me.
Uh-oh, grounded.
No.
You're in trouble.
She turned on Do Not Disturb while driving on my iPhone, because I have an iPhone, and that has the ability to basically it mutes any notifications while you're driving. So
you have to click a button that says "I am not driving." I can't tell you how many times I've lied to my iPhone. I've needed to use it while driving. I'm not driving.
It's helped me to get better. There have been plenty of times where I'll go to reach over to my phone. I'm like, nope, can't do it. Nope, don't do it.
Yeah.
But I'm getting a lot better at it. So yeah, don't do that, because you never know what's going to happen, and you could really mess up your own life or somebody else's life real quick.
True that.
So this PSA from Marc Boucher of the Good Morning Guys.
The more you know.
And then this weekend, it got a little bit better, obviously.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, for sure. So this Saturday was actually my mother-in-law's birthday. So of course we celebrated at La Carreta.
Of course.
Of course.
Happy birthday, Kristen's mom.
Yeah, her name's Michelle.
Happy birthday, Michelle. Hope you're listening. If you're not,
you're probably not.
Rate us on iTunes. That would be great.
I think actually she already has rated us on iTunes.
Oh, okay. Thanks for the rating.
So we celebrated at La Carreta. She got her sombrero.
Very nice.
Yeah, and they sang happy birthday to her in Spanish.
How many sombreros does your family have? Enough to clothe maybe an orphanage with sombreros?
Just enough to start a mariachi band.
I think we actually have enough at this point.
What about a mariachi choir? Complete with altos, bass, baritones?
Not
sopranos?
quite there just yet. I think
okay.
My in-laws have 2 and I have 1.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. It's good to know.
So just enough for the 3 amigos.
Little mini mariachi band.
Yep. But we celebrated her birthday on Saturday night, and then Sunday was a particularly special day for church because we celebrated not 1 but 2 sacraments of the church.
Mm-hmm.
We had communion and we also had a baptism service.
Nice.
Which was awesome.
Those are the best.
Yeah. So we actually had the baptism at Lady in the Church's house because we don't have baptismal at our church.
Mm-hmm.
So we had it in our pool. And so 4 people got baptized that day. So that was awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah. And then Sunday night, we had a bigger celebration for my mother-in-law's birthday with extended family. And this time it was at my in-law's house. And my father-in-law actually made beef brisket, which was really good.
Good
beef
stuff.
Brisket and salad and baked beans.
Corn on the cob?
No corn on the cob. No corn on the cob. But
it's all good.
The meal was great. And she also had a birthday cake as well, which was also excellent. Yeah, so that was pretty much my week. So now I am looking forward to my birthday coming next week.
I bet.
Speaking of which,
yeah, I was like, are you going to give it another plug? You might as well.
Yeah, I am. So just a reminder for those who may have not caught last week's episode, I have a birthday coming up, and particularly I have a birthday stream coming up where I will be streaming on the Good Morning Guys Twitch channel. That's twitch.tv/thegoodmorningguys.
Some might say you'll be birthday twitching.
Only one would say that.
They say it's your birthday. I'm twitching too.
But I'll be kind of having a birthday party live via Twitch. I'll probably squad up with a couple of people and play some Apex Legends. Everybody is invited to jump in on the chat. Like I said, it'll be August 29th. That is a week from this coming Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern at twitch.tv/thegoodmorningguys. So you are invited, and I hope to see you there. So,
very nice.
Lucas, how was your week, brother?
My week? Well, let's see. I finished out my 3-week mission trip in northern and northeastern Brazil. It was a fantastic time with a college group from Point Loma Nazarene University in California. Little bit of information. Did you know that I almost went to that college in California?
I did not know that.
So when I graduated high school back in 2000, at the turn of the century, I was
old.
Yeah. I was like, I am out of here. And not only am I out of West Virginia, I'm getting as far away as humanly possible without going to Alaska, but still staying in the United States. And so I wanted to go to Point Loma Nazarene University. And my stepmom was like, well, why don't you just do a semester or 2 at Mount Vernon, which was the closest Nazarene university, which is the church I'm a part of. And I was like, fine, I'll go 1 semester or 2, and we'll just see what happens. And, of course, after a week, I met my now wife. And as you can imagine, I did not go to Point Loma Nazarene University.
Nope.
But when I met, so these are the first people that attend that college that I've ever met in my life. And let me tell you that I am a wee bit jealous because these kids have a beach on their campus.
Whoa.
You can imagine how distracting that is, but that's got to be so cool to just be able to walk out of class and just walk down to the beach. So
that's pretty crazy.
That was pretty crazy. Anywho, it was a great time with them, with my Brazilian brothers and sisters. We finished out our time in a 3-city tour over like 3 or 4 days. We went to a little city called Angicos, and when we went there, we actually kind of participated in some of the early ministry of the church there because there's not actually a Nazarene church in that city. So we kind of walked through the town, went in like groups of 3, and we just walked up to people and started talking to them. And it's really funny because the Californians were like, man, in the U.S., you would never be able to do this. Just walk through a town and just walk up to people and be like, hey, how you doing? And like the people actually sit there and like listen to you and let you talk to them. You know, most of the time in the U.S., if you walked up and just be like, "Hey, how you doing?" They're like, "Go away, leave me alone." Or
especially in California,
they ignore you. Yeah, especially in California, they just ignore your existence. But everybody we walked up to, they wanted to talk to us, and they wanted to. Some people practice their English. We ran into several people that wanted to practice English and that kind of stuff. So it was pretty cool. And then after we walked through the town, we invited everybody into the square, and we watched the Jesus film. I don't know if you guys have heard of this, but it's a film. I think it's the second edition of a film that was made back in the early 2000s that has been translated into a lot of languages, not most languages, but a lot of languages, and it's been a very strong evangelism tool throughout the world, because they pretty much just show a film that is pretty historically accurate and pretty well acted, but it's very simple, and it just gives the story of Jesus Christ, and at the end, they have a service and opportunity for people to kind of just believe in him or not, or respond to the film. So it was really cool to be a part of that. I'd never been a part of that before. And then the second town we went to is called Pichore, and it's really just a backcountry church in the middle of nowhere. It takes an hour on backcountry roads, driving through the sticks to reach this really nice new church, surrounded by a variety of houses and country people. But that was a really good time. And then afterwards we went out to eat, and the first place we went, the guy told us, after we had already spent 20 minutes ordering food, he said he wasn't going to have enough bread for everyone. And the Brazilian pastor that was with us got so mad that he was like, "Forget it, we're going somewhere else." And so we left. At that point, it was 10:30 at night, and I was like, I don't need bread. We don't need bread. Can we just eat? We just want to eat something. And so we left that place, and that was easily the biggest restaurant there was, because after that we went to 2 food trucks, and I was like, there's no way they're going to have enough bread for us. Well, the second food truck had enough bread for us, and so we all ordered burgers. I was trying to figure out how I could not order bread, just because I did not appreciate, because at this point it was 11:30. I did not appreciate that it was so late, and we had just left because I think we were short 2 pieces of bread in the other place for burgers or sandwiches or whatever. And at the second place, we ordered drinks while we were waiting for our burgers to be made. Halfway through the burgers being made, the cook calls me over, and he's like, "I'm really sorry, but I just ran out of gas."
Oh, no.
You have got to be kidding me.
It's an avalanche.
It's like an avalanche. So at this point, I'm just laughing, and I'm like, "Hey guys, guess what? We're not going to get food tonight." And they're like, "What?" So at this point, we fractured into 2 groups. The cook that had run out of gas said that there was a place near the square, the town square where we had been before, that there was a restaurant that we could go to. And I just felt this urge within me to just go back to the other place, because I was like, if we're going to split off, they're going to have enough bread for us. So the one group went to a new restaurant, and then we went back to the old place, and we got our bread, and we got milkshakes. There was 6 of us, and it was fantastic. And so it ended well, but it was pretty rough going for a while. So that was a fun little adventure. And then the third city that we went to is called Açu, and in that one, we went to the town square, and there was easily 1,500 people there. And we were like, what is going on? The intention was for us to just walk around in groups of 3 or 4 to just strike up conversation, talk about Jesus, talk about life, but there was something else going on, and it was for that region, the Northeast, it was their high school Olympic games. They do a ceremony, and so they introduce, just like in the Olympics, they have all the schools come down and parade around in the little square in a little area, and they all line up, and they have a welcome ceremony. And then they had of all the athletes, quote unquote, they had the chess champion of this region run around 2 or 3 times holding a torch, just like in the Olympics, and then light it up for everyone to cheer and yell and all that stuff. It was actually very cool and very entertaining. And I don't know did your guys' high school or your area ever do any kind of games like that? I've never heard of that happening with high school level.
No, I haven't either. That sounds actually really cool, though.
Yeah. I don't think my high school did it. I know here in Lynchburg, the past few years, they've had a big sort of mini Olympic Games kind of thing for the state of Virginia, and it's called the Commonwealth Games. They renamed it to the State Games, which doesn't make any sense because we're a Commonwealth. But
someone's confused.
Yes. But they've had something like that. I think, I don't remember if it's like an all ages kind of thing or if it's like just a collegiate thing. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But they have something like that. But no, I don't think my high school ever did anything like that.
Yeah. I'm from West Virginia. We definitely never did anything like that. If we did, it would be like toss a rock, like how many times you can skip a rock across the river, and stick throw. It wouldn't be anything craziness like that. But then after we watched that ceremony, we talked to some more people, and we ran into a guy that he was really down on his luck. Like, he was having a hard time, like, in life. He was like 26 years old in high school, but he spoke really good English. And I was like, dude, where did you learn English? And he's like, I didn't. I just decided one day that I knew English. And I'm like, what? How does that even, I don't understand. And it just blew me away. I have to say there's been one other time in Brazil that I've run into a person that said, actually I've run into two people. One of them, not to get super heavy, but one of them was actually demon possessed, which
oh wow,
is a whole different story for a different day. But I did run into another guy that said he just prayed to God for him to learn English and he could speak English the next day. And so this was like somewhere in the middle, because this guy, he wanted to believe in God, but he just didn't know how to really trust in him. So a few of us really like got the chance to talk with him and just share our faith with him. So that was really cool to be a part of that. And then at the end of that, we came back to kind of our home base, and we flew out of Natal. But before that, we had a little debriefing time with our group. I don't know if you guys have been on a mission trip or done any kind of like out of state or out of, a nation, and even a national mission trip where you've gone and built something or done something with your church. But one thing I like to do is what we call debriefing, and that's where you kind of like talk about your reflections on what you've learned, on what you're going to take back with you, the most impactful moments. And so that was a really good time with us, with the group, just talking about that. And then we ended that debriefing time with what someone called a love feast. And I've never done this before, but I've heard of like versions of it. But are you guys familiar with what a love feast is?
Negative.
Never heard it.
It has nothing to do with food, and that's what I thought it sounded like before. But pretty much and it can be kind of embarrassing, but you sit in front of the group and everybody just pretty much gives you like, not unending, but a bunch of like encouragement and positive feedback about who you are, what you're like, what they think about you. And you just go one by one and everybody takes their turn. It can be really embarrassing if you're an introvert or you don't like attention on you, but it can just be really positive and really cool, like reflection time. And so, Mark, and thinking of like your youth group for like a retreat or something, it would be a really cool thing to do, just to kind of give people like a little self-esteem boost, because a lot of times people just think they're invisible or that nobody's paying attention. And when someone brings up stuff that they recognize about you that you didn't know or see, it can be really impactful. So it's a good call. That was pretty cool to
put that in my little youth leader pocket.
Yep, put it in that back pocket. Bring it out when things are a little down.
Mm-hmm.
After that, I took the nice long trip through Saturday and Sunday morning with Air Canada, and I arrived in Pittsburgh on Sunday morning, and then my mommy picked me up and took me back to almost heaven, West Virginia, baby, where I'm staying this week, as I help them with a little bit of house decluttering and vacation Bible school that I am leading.
Nice.
Yes, I am the Bible lesson man, so it's good times. That's actually why I'm wearing a Hawaiian shirt, because the vacation Bible theme is surfs up, surfing for Jesus, all that jazz. So,
gotcha.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when you said Bible lesson man, it made me think of your Bible man.
I'm Bible man. Da, da, da.
Have you ever seen that? Like that
I've seen pictures. I've never watched it's like a cartoon, right?
It's not a cartoon. It's actually like, well, they may have made a cartoon version, but it's actually live action.
Oh my gosh. No, yeah. I definitely haven't watched that. Live action Bible man.
It's hokey as all get out, but
Something special.
Just imagine you in the Bible Man suit. It's hilarious.
Hilarious. Oh, and also I forgot to mention, like my friend Ronnie J, I also watched some movies on my return flight from Brazil to the U.S. Let's see. Would you believe that they were all DC movies, Mark?
I would
all
not believe
three. Well, believe it or not, they were all three DC movies. And let me tell you, I was pleasantly surprised by a couple of them. So my least favorite movie that I watched of the three, it's taken me way too long to check out the Justice League. So I just forced myself and I watched it. And I will say that the negative hype is real. It was a little forced. The CG mouth of Henry Cavill is so distracting in that movie because it's so clear he has facial hair and they like photoshopped it off. But I will say that it was still a funner movie to watch than Batman versus Superman. So
I guess they got that part down a little bit.
Yeah, it was enjoyable. And I have to say that The Flash was actually my favorite, and I thought that they developed him better than any of the others.
What makes me really sad, besides Henry Cavill's CGI face in that movie, there's this particular scene, and I don't care if I'm spoiling it at this point because you really going to watch it?
Yeah, really, at this point. Wait, have you watched it, Ronnie?
No.
Will you watch it?
No.
Great.
Okay. Glad we got that covered. So there's this particular scene where at the very end of the movie where they're fighting Steppenwolf, the villain of the movie, and all of a sudden Superman returns and it's revealed that he's alive, which if you didn't know in BVS, he dies. So
man, you're just laying it all out there, aren't you?
Yeah.
The villain's name is Steppenwolf?
Yeah, isn't that the worst name ever?
Like the band?
Yes, like the band.
I did a double take when they said it in the movie. I'm like, Steppenwolf?
Yep.
Steppenwolf?
Yep. And that's actually in the comics, too. He's actually a character. Technically, Darkseid, who is kind of like DC's version of Thanos, basically Steppenwolf is Darkseid's nephew.
Oh, wow. I'm glad they didn't mention that. That would have made it even hokier.
Yeah.
I'm Darkseid's nephew, Steppenwolf.
But
not a step nephew. I'm an actual nephew. Running Coyote's like Indian names. Sitting Bear.
But in any case, so there's this scene where that's this big confrontation with Steppenwolf, and all of a sudden Superman shows up, and it immediately cuts to Batman, and you see this sudden look of glee on Batman, like he's alive.
I'm so happy.
Like, good Lord, that is not Batman.
No, not even a little bit.
But obviously there were many other gripes with that movie.
Yeah.
But
yeah, Batman's reliance on Superman was way too artificial in that movie.
There are moments in the comics certainly where Batman kind of realizes that Clark is kind of the best of us, if you will.
Right. Yeah.
But not like that.
No, definitely not.
I just think, he was Ben Affleck was a great Batman. He was not given a good script.
No, it was clear. And sometimes when he and Alfred would be talking, or just some of the dialogue was definitely forced. But of the three DC movies, that was the only one that I was just like, meh. The other two were good, and I enjoyed them thoroughly. So the second fave of the ones I watched was very nice to watch it and then listen to the spoiler cast, and that was Shazam!
Nice.
Good flick. Definitely big meets superhero, and I would say even with a little touch of Goonies or Sandlot with the whole dynamic between the kids. I really liked all of that. I will say that the villains were a little too creepy for my taste, not to give too many spoilers, but the sins were a little creepy for me. But I loved the comedy and the kids in the film. It was good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I enjoyed listening to the spoiler cast. So if you've watched Shazam and you haven't listened to the Good Morning Guys spoiler cast, recommended. It's good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
If not for anything, to just hear Patrick sing a little song. If you know what I mean. The third movie was my favorite, hands down, of the three that I watched, and that was Aquaman. Have you guys both watched that?
Indeed.
I have not.
Oh, man. Ronnie, I do recommend watching Aquaman. Even if you don't care for DC, Aquaman was pretty sweet.
It actually, I just saw, I think this past week, that it is now on Netflix.
Oh, get on it. I was pleasantly surprised, and I have to say I walked away wanting to talk with the sea animals and maybe go on a date, at least, with Ariel, and then use a golden trident as a weapon from now on. Forget lightsabers, forget batarangs. I want a trident, a golden one.
Just spray paint a fork. You got it.
Yes. I am Aqua Forkman. Call me Forky. In all honesty.
Is that how Aquaman talks?
Yeah, that's how my Aquaman talks. That if he has a golden fork, that's how he's
Aquaman. I'm Aquaman. I got a golden fork.
But in all seriousness, for me, a lot of times I gauge a good movie by how, like, when I leave or when I stop watching the movie or I leave the theater, if I want to live in the world or be the protagonist, that is a gauge of a good movie to me. So I have to say that I walked out definitely wanting to, like, be a part of that world. Maybe be like Aquaman's sidekick, Dolphin Man, or something like that. That would be cool.
Aqualad.
Hawaiian shirt, man.
That's right, Hawaiian shirt, man. I just run around in a Hawaiian shirt. Only a Hawaiian shirt.
Just
Very
make
nice.
sure that
So,
the hula girls are, tucked in.
yes, I got to tuck in the hula girls for sure, especially when I go to church. Now, you guys know, and especially Mark, I think you should really know that there's a specific reason I watched at least two of the movies. Not so much Justice League, but the main reason I watched Shazam and Aquaman was because of you and Patrick.
Yes.
You guys talked up these movies so much over these past months. You could say that your positivity was infectious.
Oh, here it comes.
And with that being said, our topic of the show. That's right, folks. We are talking about positivity. Positiveness. I am positively positive that we are going to have a positive time together today. Am I right, Marc Boucher?
That's what we're shooting for. That's for sure.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so given recent events, I mean, unfortunately, a lot of negativity happens each and every day, but especially like within the past few weeks with the shootings, just horrible shootings that have occurred in El Paso, Texas, and Dayton, Ohio, and I believe there's one other place that I'm not remembering, but and I'm very sorry.
That's all been in the last week, 2 weeks.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's crazy,
and I'm very sorry that I'm not remembering that, but
yeah.
In any case, lots of shootings. Just senseless, horrible violence going on in our nation, and it just brings a lot of people down. It just seems to be happening more and more and more and more, and it's hard to deal with a lot of times, and so and we've all dealt with stuff in our own lives that's kind of been negative, For example, my issues, with the car and the accident and all that stuff, and
mm-hmm.
the stuff that I'm going through with my dad, him being in the hospital, and he is getting very close now. It's probably going to be within the next few days. He will be going in for open heart surgery.
Wow.
So, which is kind of scary, because we have good faith in the doctors, but stuff happens, unfortunately, and it's kind of scary to undergo a procedure like that, and he's possibly going to have a valve removed, or not removed but replaced, and so there's just a lot of negativity, and so you kind of have to counteract that a lot of times, in order to press on through life with positivity.
For
the
sure.
opposite.
Yeah.
And so first and foremost, we wanted to kind of give a shout out to Bernabe, who you've heard his name called out many times on the show.
Mr. Butterteeth.
Who's been going through some situations of his own. He's had some situations with he and his wife and visas for being in the U.S., which have been a struggle for him. And then come to find out his mom actually has multiple myeloma, which is a form of cancer. And so she will be undergoing treatment for that. And so, Bernabe, we are certainly praying for you and your family with all the stuff that's going on in your life. And we love you, and we're glad you're a part of this community for sure. But just wanted to start out with, this message from Bernabe about what he says keeps him positive. And so he says, what keeps me positive is a lesson from The Little Prince, which I believe is a book.
Mm-hmm.
The Little Prince, to not preoccupy myself with things out of my control. Or, in other words, if your problem has a solution, why do you worry? And if your problem does not have a solution, then why do you worry? Accepting there are things beyond your, I believe he meant control. Letting go of the illusion of control is a good way to stay positive.
Mm-hmm.
So, gentlemen, let's go around and think about something. What kind of things help you to stay positive, especially in the face of a lot of negativity in your life? So, Lucas, you may start.
Okay. First of all, really referencing what Bernabe had to say, I really like the thought, the idea of how, regardless of which way a situation goes, we really don't have a good reason to worry. Because the idea is, like he was saying, if there is a solution, then there's no reason to worry. And if there's no way to control, or there's no solution that we know of, there's still no reason to worry. Now I will say that that's easier said than done. On my side, for me personally, life hasn't been super negative. I totally was out of touch with the world and the news, and I had no idea about these shootings. I think I found out the day before I traveled on Saturday that the customs database all over the U.S. glitched out and shut down for 24 hours, and people were stranded all over the U.S. Trying to enter into the country. And our hearts, as a podcast and as a people, our hearts go out to those who suffer because of those shootings, who suffer because of, being separated from their families, and that's not easy. And I think that while Bernabe's thoughts are very good to think about, sometimes, especially when we're in the thick of it, we kind of want to say, well, that's easier said than done. Sometimes it feels like worry is not a choice. And so, for me, I know that one of the things that I try to do in order to deal with the negativity, the stresses, is really communication. And that covers it all, because it's whether it's communication with friends, with family, with God, praying for people. I know that it's become kind of a meme or a joke, thoughts and prayers, but I believe in prayer. And I believe it makes a difference, and it makes a difference and impacts my heart. It impacts the people that I'm praying for. When we work together on a spiritual level, so many things we face, we want to blame the situations, but when bad stuff happens, when negative things happen, the negativity that comes out of it oftentimes comes from us. Our reaction is what comes from our heart. So it really comes down to the only way we can deal with how we deal with those things is to communicate with others, to pray, to talk to God, to seek strength, and to do that with others as well, friends, family, people that we trust. When we hold it in, that's when the negativity and the stuff in our lives can really look worse than what it is. So I'd say communication is a very general way that I deal with negativity.
Awesome. Ronnie, got any thoughts, any ways you try to stay positive?
Yeah, I would build on Lucas's communication portion. What I thought of when when you're answering this question is not just communication, but communication with those who are close to you. Your close circle of people, those people that you care about, that care about you, people that you trust. You're communicating with those people. For example, the shooting in Dayton, Ohio, actually hit kind of close to home. And not just because I'm in Cincinnati, actually. Elizabeth, my girlfriend, she's from Dayton. So that's where she grew up and lived most of her life. And it was very, it was home, for her. The shooting happened somewhere she's been, a bunch of times. Her best friend works at the building literally right in front of where it happened. Her best friend went to work, I think a couple days after it happened, and there were bullet holes in the window of her conference room. That's how close it was. So
wow.
It was really, really close, and it had a really big effect on them. It's different. I guess when you think about it, you think about how terrible something like that is, and most of the time when those things happen, they're not that close. They're not that close to home. I remember a few years back, there was that shooting in the Fort Lauderdale airport, I think. Mm-hmm. And so my mom was in that airport the day before it happened. So, and it just makes you, it just makes you really think, about how some of those things go down. But for me, it is communication as well, like Lucas said, but it's communication with those really close to me. I have a couple of really close friends that, I can talk to whenever. Like, those guys are always there for me. And most importantly is actually my mother. So I'm extremely close to my mom. We talk to each other a couple times a day on the phone. And she's just always been there, Every time I needed to be picked up, she's always been there for me. I remember there was a time, I guess kind of off topic of the actual shootings, but a time after I got divorced, or after I split up with my ex-wife, there was really weird things in life that were hard to get used to, I guess. And I remember one of them being when I left work for the day. I remember leaving work every single day, and I would always call my ex-wife and say, hey, what are we doing for the night? What are we going to do for dinner? It's a pretty normal thing that you don't really think about until it's completely gone. And then you feel very lonely at that time. And I remember my mom, she started calling me every day. So, every day after 5 o'clock, it'd be like 5:05. My phone would be ringing every day. So it's really, for me, it's communication with those very close to me.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I would definitely echo both your sentiments. Communication is absolutely key. I think the big things that help me to stay positive, number one is my faith. It's my faith in God. Anytime something negative happens, something may happen in my life, something I struggle with, or something like that, it always helps to recall God's word and remember that His promises are true. And those things, those scripture verses always come to mind, and those kind of the Holy Spirit, I believe, really works through that, helping me recall those scriptures to help me stay positive.
Yeah.
And so that gets me through. It's carried me through a lot of things. It's carried me through a divorce. It's carried me through death. In my family, it's carried me through a lot of things. So, and of course, communication is key. Like when I'm struggling with something, like I deal with anxiety. A lot of you have heard on here that I have, obsessive compulsive disorder and deal with anxiety, and I take medication for it. And a lot of times when I'm struggling or when I can't keep my mind focused, obviously I pray, and I call my wife, because she can kind of mentally talk me off the ledge, and help me to see the positive in things and let me know that things are not as bad as they seem to be. Now, obviously, with shootings and stuff like that, it's bad. That's really bad. But being around your loved ones and holding the ones that remain tighter and talking with them and just loving on them and them supporting you, that really carries you through and helps you to see the positivity in the mess of all the negativity in your life.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, Mike Dougherty actually posted on our Facebook about our topic, and he mentioned that no matter how much I suck or things around me suck, I'm still loved. And that's something you can always lean back on, is to know that there are people out there when you're facing difficult circumstances, when everything around you seems like it's falling apart, everything is negative, you are loved. Know that God loves you, that your family and your friends love you, and they want to be there to support you. And it just helps.
Yeah.
It just does.
And that's where communication comes in again, and like the importance of it, because not only like communicating that helps me when I'm feeling negative, but there are people all around us all the time that are feeling negative, that are feeling negativity, and a lot of times we hide it, especially, speaking for guys, we can be the worst. Like sometimes we want to be like, oh, I'm going to be tough, I'm going to be manly, I don't want to admit my weaknesses. And, I think there are times when we look at like people who are more emotional and we say, well, I don't need to cry. I don't want to cry, or I don't want to worry about that. And, I know that like in the mission trips that I do, when people are like put in tough situations where they're out of their comfort zone, when they like have to deal with language barriers or when they share their testimony, for example, because that happens a lot in the mission trips that I do, and they talk about like the negative aspects of their life, how they've dealt with depression, how they dealt with, they made bad decisions, they went through abortion, or they were assaulted by someone, or went through this traumatic event, and God brought them through that event. It's still bringing that up is difficult, but even then, each time they bring it up, like, and they share it, and they share how God gave them strength, how their family gave them strength and loved them. Every time someone has shared those stories, there's been someone in a church service or someone in a meeting where they've come up to that person and said, "Thank you for sharing. Because you shared, I can also share like my suffering, or share my negativity, and let it go and give it to God, and give it to, kind of like as a way to have solidarity, like unifying people together, that we all go through it. And so we need to share it, and we need to say it out loud and deal with it." So.
Yeah, and I think that's really where those around you, I mean, they can help you out so much in those scenarios, because like you said, Lucas, especially with a lot of times with men, I don't know about you guys, but like I grew up in the era where, yeah, like you're a man, you don't cry, you don't show your emotion. Like we were very much raised under that. And it's things are a little bit different nowadays. I think people are more open, like with their emotions, than they used to be. And I think that's come a long way. But that's the only way. I guess opening up is the only way to, it's the only way for somebody to help you. If somebody knows that you're going through that.
Yeah, absolutely. So Travis Popscicle actually shared on our Discord a story about something he's dealing with and how he's been getting through it. It's a bit of a long one, but I think it's worth sharing, the whole thing. So I just got back from taking my wife to Mount Sinai Hospital in New York City, where we talked to the chief medical surgeon about her condition. We have been to Cleveland Clinic, Upstate Medical in Syracuse, Mount Sinai once previously, and nobody wanted to help her due to the rarity of her condition. From what we have been told, she is one of 6 people in the U.S. that suffers from, and I apologize if I'm not pronouncing this right, Chiari malformation, intestinal malrotation, and a slew of other stuff all at once.
Wow.
It's hard to stay positive when everyone turned her away. We have been pursuing treatment since 2012 and actually had a scheduled surgery in Cleveland that they canceled 6 days before it happened. But this recent trip shined a new light. The surgeon is very confident in getting her some relief. Chronic nausea, chronic constipation, migraines, very limited diet due to stomach paralysis, and a slew of other symptoms makes it very difficult to stay positive. But somehow, we held on to the hope that one day we would find someone to help. The surgery date is September 20th, which is awesome.
That is great.
Yeah.
I was going to share this in the live chat, but it seemed appropriate with this week's discussion. Thank you all for listening and making the podcast. It has helped me stay sane and be strong for my wife. Oh, and I stayed positive and rekindled my marriage since March, and we are in a very good place now. Love
That's
you
awesome.
all.
Love you too, man. Love you,
one
Mr.
of the
Popscicle.
One of the ways that I think the whole group of guys here on the podcast try to stay positive is by making this podcast.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
That's ultimately been our goal, is to have an encouraging podcast, a positive podcast for people to listen to, and to know that we've affected at least one person in some way and help them to remain positive is a huge deal to us. And so Travis, we are so glad that you are part of our community. We're super thankful that you have seen a glimmer of light, and that is always helpful in negative situations, to see the glimmer of hope. And so the fact that your wife is going to have that surgery is awesome. We hope and pray that it goes well.
Yeah, definitely.
We're glad that you and your wife are in a much better place now, in terms of your marriage. We've heard a lot about that going on, over the past several months, the situation he's been going through, and the fact that there's been reconciliation is a huge positive. So Travis, we're super happy for you guys. And we're praying that this surgery goes well, and just keep sticking around with the community, because we're glad that you're here, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking to some of the things that Travis brought up, my sister had a Chiari malformation, had surgery on it, and it's still, even after the surgery, she's had a lot of physical fallout from that. It's not something that can just be like, do a surgery and it's all fixed. But she had surgery on that. My stepmom has had countless surgeries on her back, on her neck, on kind of intestinal issues that she's had. And I was actually just recently talking to her about like how she deals with that, and it just comes down to again, as we were talking about, communication. But one of the things we talked about is just there's a scripture in Corinthians where Paul, one of the authors of the New Testament in the Bible, when he talks about how he has a thorn, and he asks God to take it away 3 times, and God says, "My power is made perfect in weakness." And it's a very mysterious scripture for some people, and there's sometimes that God heals. Sometimes people are healed. Sometimes people are not healed, whether it's through medicine or through God or whatever, through whatever route. And sometimes you have to wonder, like, why does it happen? Why does it not happen? And what it came down to, and when we had that conversation recently, was that every opportunity is an opportunity to trust in God, to trust in others. It can help us it can kind of push us to not allow ourselves to be alone. Because if everything's perfect, if everything's going great, why do we need God? If we've got everything we need on our own, why do we need family or friends? Like, our weaknesses is a way weakness is a way to bind us together because we have a necessity for each other. And so kind of looking at, these difficulties in a positive light, and just realizing that it can bring us together even stronger, I think is definitely one way to help make things positive. So,
yeah. And one thing I would add to that too, and I guess I don't really know how to say it, but with the tragedies, like the shootings that happened recently, and every shooting or every, major tragedy that's happened, it seems like, the goal of that person who made the decision to do something like that. For example, one of the people that decided to shoot other people. Their goal it seems to be to destroy. And
yeah,
in all honesty, the good that I see come out of that is humanity banding together. You see these communities coming together, people that don't even know each other. People are standing there holding hands, people hugging each other that have never known each other. It just shows you the good in humanity. And in reality, yes, it's a terrible tragedy, but they do the opposite. They don't destroy; they bring people closer together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that kind of helps me to stay positive is to kind of hear about positive stories, which certainly, the Travis, his situation is definitely something that helps encourage me. A lot of times everybody thinks that the internet is just this toxic place, and a lot of times it is. It's just this festering breeding ground for negativity. But there's a lot of positivity in it as well. And I don't know why, the story just kind of popped into my head. There's this video that I have seen make the round several times about this guy that he somehow was able to, during the Holocaust. It's kind of like a Schindler's List kind of thing, but honestly, I'm forgetting the avenue through which he did it. But he was able to save a bunch of the Jews from being killed in the concentration camps. And there's actually this video where they invite him to this television show.
I think it was he either placed them, they were orphans, or there's some kind of adoption agency that he worked for, and he placed them in homes, I think, without people knowing they were Jewish.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something like that. I've seen that video.
It was a television show that he was on, and he was in the audience. And so they're talking to him, and they surprise him by letting him know, like, he says, so we have several people here that were on that list of people that you saved. And every person around him in the audience stood up, and they were all people that he had, whose lives that he had saved. And so just to see that the love and the compassion of one person saved not just one, but tons of lives.
Yeah.
From a horrible evil, something that was beyond negative, is incredible to see. And I really pray that there's more people like that, man, in this world.
For sure. And that was actually when I was kind of reflecting on positivity. Hero stories was another thing that really, and honestly, not to like go into like the entertainment realm too much, but like whether the hero stories are real or not real, like they both can inspire me. Just, I love those stories about real events that happened and hearing about real life heroes. But even for me, like, I think that's part of the reason I like, superhero flicks and any movie or book or entertainment thing that follows like the hero's journey. 'Cause it's just, well, even if it's not real, it has like principles behind it that we should live by. Like in Aquaman, there's a moment where his mom says, "You're more than a king, you're a hero. A king only fights for his country, but a hero fights for everyone." And just the idea of like what it means to fight for others and to really, go to bat for people, to defend each other, to love each other. And so whether it's real life or, even, Ronnie, you watch the Captain America movie, like, sure, it's about fake and silly stuff and it's comic book, but like the principles behind what makes Captain America a hero, those are principles that we can apply to real life. Like defending the weak, being, having a bigger heart than an ego, like not just living for myself, but living for others. That's what I aspire to. So I want to surround myself with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and actually, like, in one of the coolest scenes in that whole movie is they have this group of guys, and they're trying to decide who they're gonna put in this experiment, basically. And he basically pulls the pin on that grenade and throws it into the middle of everybody. And Steve Rogers jumps on it immediately.
Scrawny little kid.
Little bitty kid, like, jumps on it to save everybody else. Everybody else goes and hides or whatever. And then he looks at was that what actor was that? Was that De Niro?
It was Tommy Lee Jones.
Tommy Lee Jones,
that's what it was. I couldn't remember which one. Tommy Lee Jones, and he looks at him, he goes, well, he's still small.
yeah. You're still a runt.
But it was, and that is the cool thing about Captain America, is that he is just the ultimate good. The reason he was chosen to get that is basically because he wouldn't misuse that. He's never had that, and he would have a different appreciation than everybody else would.
Yeah. You mentioned media. Something that it's a story that's kind of close to home, literally, for me. Have you guys ever heard of the movie Hacksaw Ridge?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay. So Hacksaw Ridge was, the story of Desmond Doss, who he served in World War II, and he never wanted to fire a gun. He became a combat medic while serving in the war, and he saved several lives, and he's from Lynchburg, which is where I'm from, or not where I'm from, but where I live.
Yeah.
So it was just really, really inspiring to see that and know that it's based on a real life person who had that type of courage and dedication and compassion to save his fellow man. And just, the scene where he's like climbing back up and down that ridge. And he's praying to God. He says, Lord, one more, just one more. Come on, one more. And that he had that much compassion. It's very inspiring and very positive to see in the face of the horrors of something like war and how that affects people. But while it is very bloody and gruesome, so you may not want to watch it with your kids.
Right.
I highly recommend Hacksaw Ridge, because that movie is phenomenal.
Yeah, I definitely want to watch that.
So, Tim Paullin adds on the Discord. He says that I'm positive that you all are some of the most positively positive people that ooze positivity. And I think he's right. I think our not just us on the podcast, but our entire community is very positive.
Yep.
It's always a place where you can come in and you're not going to feel like you're attacked. You're always going to be built up, and people actually care about what's going on in your life. I can think of several people who have messaged me on random days. I don't even have to mention, like, for example, Zach Ald, the podcast junkie himself. He just randomly messaged me the other day and said, "Hey, how's your family doing? How's your dad doing?" Like, this man, like, other than through the internet, he's never met me in person, but he still thinks about myself and
right.
me and my family.
Yeah.
And others have messaged me the same question as well. Like, how's your dad doing? Is he doing okay? And and that they don't have to be prompted. So it's always a positive community where people are really genuinely looking out for each other and interested in people's lives. And so I'm very thankful for our community, that we can just have a positive place where we can just hang out and do life with one another and, enjoy each other's company as we live and as we work and as we game.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, I'm super thankful for our community because it helps me stay positive.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Tim, for that message. You're part of the reason we're positively positive.
Positively.
It's good stuff.
All right. So, any final thoughts about our discussion on positivity?
Actually, I did two. This is like, I actually only planned to share one like little Bible verse with in talking about positivity, but I already shared one that I didn't plan on, and then I had another one come to mind that is kind of like another way to deal with negativity in life, and it sometimes maybe feels counterproductive or feels not strong enough. But there's a scripture in Romans, also written by Paul, where he says that when someone pretty much hurts you, or when evil comes your way, don't fight evil with evil. And I think this is something that also Martin Luther King alluded to in his speech, in one of his speeches. But in the scripture, Paul says, don't fight evil with evil, fight evil with good, with kindness. And in doing so, you'll heap burning coals on top of their head. Like, it's the idea that kill people with kindness. And I think that if more of us try to do that, if we try to fight back against, with evil, with good, if someone, and I know that as someone who's not gone through, like, some of the tragedies that have been happening with shootings and those kind of things, I haven't personally been through those kind of things. And I can't think of a moment where someone did, I think about things like, what if it happened to my kids and those kind of things? How would I react? What would I do or say? But this kindness goes such a long way, and just going back and forth with whether it's yelling or, blaming people, that can only get us so far, and it's not going to give us any solutions. And so I think kindness and loving each other, not in like the mushy, give me a hug and kiss kind of way, but really like knowing people and being their friends and connecting and communicating with them, it just makes all the difference.
Absolutely.
And the other scripture that I wanted to mention real quick is in Isaiah 61. That is just such a powerful, like, it just speaks directly into this positivity, like dealing with negativeness. And it talks about, it says, the Lord has, the Spirit of the Sovereign Lord's on me. He's anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor, to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim freedom to the captives, release darkness for prisoners, to comfort all who mourn, to bestow a crown of beauty instead of ashes, an oil of joy instead of mourning, a garment of praise instead of a spirit of despair. They will be called oaks of righteousness, a planting of the Lord for the display of his splendor. And it's just the idea that one of the reasons that I'm a Christian is not because of a religion. It's because that in my darkest times, I've recognized that God has helped me bring beauty from the ashes, and talking about, my mom passing away when I was 11, and some of the tragedies I've experienced and seen and heard from people's lives, that in the times when they were darkest, those, who trusted in God, who trusted in others, they were faithful, and it helped bring light to the darkness. And so if you're in a negative place, if you're in a dark place, please talk to someone. Share, talk about it, and see what happens. Give people a chance to reach out to you and to help you, because I think good can come out of any negative situation. So that's all I wanted to share about that.
Yeah, and I think, in all honesty, I mean, we all have our stories. We all have our times where, things didn't go well, where we were down, where we were out. And, I guess one thing that I will share, just I guess kind of randomly is, so the last few months of my life, I've been dating Elizabeth, and obviously she's moving in with me, and I remember going through a period of being lonely, not really knowing a path, not having really any future plan. It was just me. All of a sudden, I was not married and single. And Mark, we talked about this a little bit, where it's quite an adjustment to try and get used to that. It's easy to fall kind of into a downward mood and all those things. And I would say for those people that are going through those, it does get better. It really does. These past few months, I can't remember ever being this happy in my whole life. I owe a lot of it to her, in all honesty. Yeah, I mean, I'm crazy.
That's
about
awesome, man.
It's been really great. And there were times where, things didn't look very bright. And, if you're going through one of those times, it really does get better.
For sure.
It really does.
Awesome. All right. Well, I think that kind of wraps up.
Is that a wrap?
Our discussion on positivity.
All right. Well, then I guess that is truly all for this preposterously, positively positive party of a podcast.
Good night.
If you all have enjoyed the discussion and hang with us, we would truly appreciate some positive feedback by you. Just take a few minutes to give us an honest review and rating on iTunes or Apple Music or whatever podcast service you use that allows such things. If you have already done so, thank you so much. And if you want to go the extra mile, grab your friend or family member's cell phone or tablet, find us on their podcasting service of choice, subscribe, podcasting, and leave a rating or
From
review.
Wisconsin.
Them also, we would be eternally grateful. And also, remember, if you'd like to join in on our future episodes or connect with us and our most lovely GMG community, then check out the show notes, click those links, join our Discord server filled with a wide range of dad jokes and truly heartfelt conversations, real-life conversations. But if Twitter's more your thing, our handle is @TheGMGPodcast. You can also email us at thegmgpodcast@gmail.com.
I believe it's actually the Good Morning Guys.
Yes,
gmail.com.
the Good Morning Guys at gmail.com. Just put some letters and numbers in. It'll show up one of these days. Click on it. Click it and send
Click
it.
on it.
And if you want to practice your radio voice and you even want to call us, you can dial what number, Ronnie?
I still don't know it.
Just call
Honestly.
Ronnie. Call in, leave a message, ask a question. Join us on the show at 929 GMG, guys. Let your voice be heard. You know what else should be heard? Mark's music choices for this week. Mark, let's hear it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, as always, you can check out the Good Morning Guys morning playlist on Spotify as well as Apple Music. Thank you, Bernabe, for keeping things up on the Apple Music end. And our additions to the Good Morning Guys morning playlist for this week are the song Ooh Child from the 5 Stair Steps.
Ooh, child, things are
Ooh,
gonna
love
get
that.
easier.
It's a dance off, bro.
I think we should. Yeah, that's immediately what I think of when I hear that song now. That's great. Oh man. Good
So
stuff.
I'll be adding that. It's a song. There's another song from Michael W. Smith. It's a song called "Surrounded."
I haven't heard that one.
Parentheses, fight my battles.
Oh,
And
that's
it's literally says, even though it feels like I'm surrounded by you. So basically, when you're feeling surrounded, know that God is with you.
good
Is
stuff.
what the song is
I
trying to say.
I don't remember that song. What does it sound like? Sing it for us. A little blip.
You know what? I'm not gonna do that.
Aw, come on, Mark. You got a beautiful voice. You should do it.
No, not gonna do it.
Fine. Be that way. Ronnie, you should sing what you think it sounds like.
No, my voice is probably worse than
All right,
Mark's.
fine. Third song?
But in any case, so the song "Beautiful Day" from U2,
Yes.
which honestly always makes me think of, unfortunately, 9/11, because that song was released right around 9/11.
Yeah.
But it is a positive song in the face of something like that.
It is.
And a community submitted song to add to the playlist is from one Bernabe.
Yeah, Mr. Butterteeth.
Is the song Get Back Up Again, sung by Anna Kendrick from the movie Trolls. So we'll be adding those songs to the playlist this week. I hope that they help you stay positive and help you get your good morning on.
For sure. All right, well, talk at you guys again next week on podcast services around the globe as we talk about something community-driven, because that was supposed to be this week. But as Forrest Gump would say, it happens. And we forgot that it was supposed to be community-driven, but we're going to do it next week. It's all good in the hood. So you guys are going to decide what we will be talking about. So we will be getting nominations this coming week and be voting, and who knows what we're going to talk about. It could be everything from, I don't know.
Pickles.
What could it be? Pickles? Everything from pickles to what, Ronnie?
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Yes, it could be any one of those. Did you know Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson got married?
I saw that.
Yeah, you did.
Did you see that?
I did see
Look
that.
out. His longtime best friend. I had no idea.
How about that?
He
thought-
is officially
I thought
off the market.
I thought he was your best friend. I thought you were his best friend, Ronnie. I thought I was expecting to see you in that picture.
I would have married him.
Believe that. Sorry, Elizabeth. Ronnie is spoken for.
No, not anymore. I'm back on the market now.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that's true. All righty then. The spirit of Pat and also Ronnie J and Mark and also you, our friends and family that also happen to be our listeners. Go get your good morning this week, and may God bless and guide your lives as you live and as you work and as you positively game.
1, 2, 3, 4.
And that's all she wrote.
Jeez, Mark, would you just turn a spotlight on?
Punks. Yeah, why is it so bright all of a
Jeez,
sudden?
Pete, was an alien saucer outside your window?
Mark's about to get abducted. Here comes the probe. Oh no. What are they pulling you up by your neck?
By one of
You're
his
like,
fingers.
What, are they supposed to pull me up by my foot?
I mean, do they really need to pull you up? You usually
I think
float.
you just float up there, yeah.
Yeah, they don't just pull you.
I mean, I'm not a scientist.
Oh,
or
I'm
anything.
sorry.
It's like,
Tractor beam, though.
there you go. That's more like it.